family, welcome to the family people. I'm Raymond and this is Marvel United, the ultimate campaign for everything season 1, and we're probably 3/4 of the way through the main heroes campaign, and this one gives us a bit of a sneaky peek into the other line of this campaign, which is the Spiderverse. So of course we've got the Spiderverse locations set up on the board, ready to go. Oops, for some reason my camera has gone black. Here we are at the table. Got my camera back up and running, and let's have a quick look through the Spiderverse locations that we've pulled out. So, starting over here, we have the Brooklyn Bridge. At the end of your turn, you may add a civilian to any location, then rescue a civilian from this location. We have Osborn Laboratories. At the end of your turn, you may gain an attack token. We have the Daily Bugle. At the end of your turn, you may reveal the top card of the Master Plan deck and place it on the bottom. So, opportunity to have a sneaky peek at what's happening. We've got the Midtown High School. End of your turn, you may gain a heroic token. We have Queens. At the end of your turn, if you have 1 or 2 cards in your hand, you may draw a card. So that's our heal location. And then finally, we have the Oscorp Tower. At the end of your turn, you may gain a move token. Okay, so these are the locations that we will be playing with. And in fact, the only thing I haven't done is, of course, populate these with their respective doohickeys, technical term. So civilians and thugs, pop those out. And the villain that we will be playing on this occasion is Carnage. So the brother, I guess, is that how that works from a symbiote siblings perspective of Venom? Talking of which, looking forward to seeing Venom 3. I've seen some sneaky peek posters coming out now, so looking forward to hopefully seeing a suitable trilogy resolution to that storyline. I hope of seeing more of the Venom character future. I believe they're doing a Spider-Man 3 with Garfield, Andrew Garfield, including Venom. But we're not here to talk about Venom, we're here to talk about Carnage. I didn't have a Carnage tea, I only had a Venom one, so this is what you got, folks. So let's have a look at Carnage's board then. So special rules: whenever a hero is KO'd, increase the spawn track by 1. So that is Carnage's villainous plot is trying to do this spawn track. When this track reaches 10, the heroes lose. When he bams, deal a damage to each hero in Carnage's location, then place a crisis token above the civilian that's there. In the event of overflow, if 1 or more civilians or thugs cannot be added to a location, discard all civilians with a crisis token in that location. From the location with the most civilians, first clockwise in case of a tie, and then for each civilian with a crisis token that's discarded, increase the spawn track by 1. Okay, so what we're doing is, so when we have civilians in a location like here, in the event of a BAM, there'll be crisis tokens appearing atop of those civilians, and then in the event of overflow, if that is the location with the most civilians, they will come off and the villainous plot track will increase. So that's how that will be operating. Talking of which, let's dig out a token for the villainous plot track, and let's put out the threat tokens for us to try and gather. And talking of which, of course, we must put out Carnage's threats, so we will do that momentarily. But let's roll and see where Carnage will start. Location 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Carnage will start over at Queens, clearly trying to seek out the household Parker residence. And that means our heroes will be starting at Osborn's laboratories. And let's have a look, talking of which, the heroes that we have. So we have Spider Woman, who we unlocked in due course. So we have removed Double Wild. So this is a hard challenge. So the Double Wilds for both have been removed. And we have our counterpart being Korg. So we are down a card, and more importantly, we're down a Double Wild. That's our starting hand set up. And let's go ahead and have a look at Carnage's threats. We start off with Carnage's offspring. So when Carnage bams, place one crisis token above one civilian in this location present. Add a civilian to this location, then deal 1 damage to each hero here. So that's what happens in the event of a bam. If we have Carnage offspring, they have 4 life. So we have another Carnage offspring. We have the symbiote ambush. Each civilian in this location requires an extra heroic feat to be rescued. So that makes it all the more difficult to recover those civilians and get those out of the way, which of course is exactly what Carnage wants in terms of completing his plot. So they are the 2 threat cards that we'll be facing off against today, and we have 4 health on each of these henchmen. I'm just popping those out. Easy to go, and hopefully take those down. Now, of course, what I've run into on occasion is having attack heavy heroes that then run into issues when it comes to rescuing lots of civilians. Now, we will see how this fares as we play through this. So we are over at Osborn Laboratories. It's Spider Woman and Korg. Of course, as always, it is the villain to start. So move clockwise to the next location with the most civilians. Let's just zoom out. So we've got 2 over here, got 2 here. So clockwise we'll bring him over to Daily Bugle, and he will then bam. So we will do the bam, deal 1 damage to each here in that location, which is none. Then place a crisis token above each of the civilians that are there. We have 2 civilians here. Start off. A couple of those going. And then we're going to spawn of evil, add 1 civilian to every location. Wow. Okay. So really going to town, getting these civilians out, populated. Now hopefully, of course, this will work in our favour if we can muster enough heroic feats to rescue this bounty of civilians out there. And of course our preference will be, as always to rescue civilians as here with these threat tokens, because that's what will delay this villainous plot master plan being completed. Okay, so that is it for Carnage's turn 1. And in true fashion, we will go left to right. We are starting with Spider Woman. We will draw a card. And we have Poison Blast. Choose 2 attacks or delay the next villain turn by 1 card. That's handy. Although we are in a location with something to attack, of course, because we're at the laboratories with one of Carnage's offspring. Oh, and in fact, apologies, let me just take back a step before we continue that. When Carnage banned, we also had to enact the offspring. So starting with location 1 down at Brooklyn Bridge, bam, place a crisis token above one civilian in this location. That's done. And then add a civilian to this location. Wow, so that is already full. Then do 1 damage to each hero here, which is none. This is where it falls foul, however. So we're going to place a crisis token above the civilian that Carnage put down. We're going to add another civilian, and we're going to deal a point of damage to each of our heroes. So that wouldn't have been drawn. So I'm going to get rid of the single move, and over here get rid of the single attack. So both taking a point of damage out the gate, and then we are over to Queens, where we have Carnage's offspring. So bam, here, place a crisis token over one of these civilians and add another civilian. Wow. Okay. Apologies, folks, but at least I realised before continuing. Okay. So we have, let's just have a look, the threat of overflow here and here. So these are the 2 locations where we're at risk of overflow now. And that is how Carnage will implement his villainous plot. So back to Superwoman. So she's just drawn, so she's got her new card. Don't want to do a move and attack, don't want to do a double attack. I mean, ideally you want to do a heroic feat. I don't have a heroic feat. That got finished. Let's move. Because at the moment we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 thugs out on the board, so yeah, attacks. But attacks are good in order for clearing the threats, which of course are these Carnage offspring. So every time that BAM occurs, it's just pushing us more and more to the edge, which we do not want. So I think we'll do the Poison Blast. So that will enable Spider Woman over at Osborn Laboratories to do a double attack on this Carnage offspring, and then a single attack on the Carnage offspring, leaving him just 1 hit point left. That's a good start. And then we're down to Korg. So Korg will draw. Ooh, we got a heroic feat. Well, that could be good. I mean, it is one of those occasions we are at risk of overflow, so I think that's a good one to go with. So we are going to go with rescuing this civilian, utilize one of those rare heroic feat cards. Seems to be the way with a lot of these heroes, and we'll do the final attack, take out Carnage offspring, which means in addition to that, at the end of our turn we also get an attack token, which is very nice. So we'll take that. Right on, Korg. Okay, and then we are back to Spider Woman, who will another poison blast, and I got a heroic feat. I think move and attack maybe, and we'll start taking out the offspring over at Brooklyn Bridge, but we'll also be able to recover this. So we've got 2 locations at least we've been able to reduce the overflow risk. So I think that's probably going to be my best bet at this stage. So we're doing a move and attack. So Spider will come down to here. It's a move, we'll do the attack, which is a point off of Carnage offspring, and we're going to rescue this crisis tokened civilian. Optimize use of that heroic feat card. And that is it for our turns, folks. So we are back to Carnage. And let's see what Carnage is going to do. He's going to move 5 and put out a ridiculous amount of tokens. Wow. But no BAM, at least. So let's have a look. So moving 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 over to Osborne Laboratories. Then we are not going to BAM. We're not going to do anything else there. We are then going to put out 3 tokens here, of which 1 will come out. I operate left to right, so the leftmost is a civilian. Put that civvy out, and then overflow occurs. Let's just have a quick reminder. If one or more tokens cannot be added to that location, discard all civilians with crisis tokens from the location with the most civilians. So Queens by far has the most civilians, with 4 civilians over at Queens. But we're only discarding civilians with crisis tokens, so that's just the 1. So that's discarded along with the crisis token, and the villainous plot, it moves up by 1. Increase the spawn track by 1. So we've done that. Okay. Then we are back to the rest. So the next leftmost here, not that it really matters. We're going to put out another 3. Again, that isn't going to happen. We are back to overflow up here. So that has triggered. Back to 1 or more tokens cannot be discarded all. With the most first clockwise, so we are back to, I mean, it's an interesting one. So the location with the most civilians is the location we're at, so that will be that location. So that's fine. So from here we will discard these 2 civilians, so 2 of associated crisis tokens, and the villainous plot moves on 2 more points. And then finally we have the other location. So again, we're going to put out a civilian here, and let's zoom back out. So we've got 3 civilians and 3 civilians, so this will be the one with the most, and there are no civilians with crisis tokens, so nothing further to add. Wow. Okay, so that was an interesting turn. So we are back to Korg, who will draw a card. Heroic feat. Oh, it's got move and attack. Heroic feat and attack. That's quite tasty, that is. Wow. We can rescue another 2 civilians this turn. That's very powerful. We're absolutely going to be doing that. And we've got double attack and a move. So, coming out here. So we're over here at the moment. I think you want to come down to Brooklyn Bridge, where, so that's a move. We can do a double rescue. Rescue another 2 civilians, so they get added to our rescued civilians. Okay. And we have an attack. I think we'll do the attack on Carnage's offspring. We've got a brief respite. Last villain's attack with the no BAM. So that's fortunate. And then the other offspring is right the way over here. Okay. That's where we need to make our way to. But that's it for Korg. So we are back to Spider Woman. So Spider will draw a card. Oh, moving heroic feat. Wow. Okay, so great opportunity to clear out. And thankfully, we haven't actually got any civilians with crisis tokens over them at the moment. So she's got a move, double heroic feat, and an attack. It's not quite enough, but hopefully Korg will finish it off. So we're going to do an attack on air. And I think we're going to move... Oh, I can't. What do I want to do? I'm going to move to Osborn Laboratories and do 2 heroic feats and rescue those 2 civilians, so they get added to my rescued civilians. And then at the end of my turn, I get to take a attack token as well. Nice. And then we are back to Korg. Mind you, he has an attack token. Both adjacent. So this ability says, Conan Fighter, do an attack in both adjacent locations or 2 attacks in your location, and then do another attack. He's currently got a move and a heroic feat in the timeline. Or he's got a single wild. I mean, wild could be handy, just in terms of either that extra move or that heroic feat. The issue we're going to have, folks, is these 3 locations here, of course, have the threat cards that say it's all the more difficult to rescue civilians from there. So we're going to need 2 heroic feats per civilian to be rescued from those locations. So that really is quite tricky. But we're going to have to probably clear one of those threats anyway, which again is more heroic feats. So I'm just thinking about, do I want to play that wild from Korg, so at least we've got that option of either movement or heroic feat or something extra, depending on what else happens to come out. I think that's what we're going to do. So we're going to play that to the timeline. First thing we're going to do is use this attack token to take out the last of that Carnage offspring. So that's 2 threats cleared. Now that's interesting. Okay, so at the end of the turn, you may add 1 civilian token to any location, then rescue a civilian from this location. Do I really want to add another civilian somewhere else? Probably not, I'm thinking. It does give us the option to rescue another civilian, so I think that's probably worthwhile. So we're going to add a civilian over here at Osborn Laboratories. I want to add it there. I mean, anywhere I'm adding it at the moment, we're pretty much at the brink of overflow. Mind you, I could add it here. In fact, it doesn't rule out the fact that I can add it here. At the end of your turn, you may add 1 civilian to any location. So I can add a civilian here, then rescue 1 civilian from this location. So I can rescue that civilian that is there. So that works. Okay. So we are well on our way to completing our civilian rescues, and we've cleared 2 of 4 threats we need. Okay, so we have done our 3 heroic actions. We are back to Carnage, who are doing move 1 and bam. So move 1 will put him onto the Daily Bugle. And having a look at the BAM, it will deal 1 damage to each hero in that location, which is none. Then place 1 crisis token above each civilian there. So we have 2 civilians there, so that's 2 crisis tokens coming into play. So that's infected. Okay. And so that was BAM. We're then going to put out 1 thug in that and each adjacent location, which we can do. That's good. Put those out. So that's a thug at Midtown High School. Who'd have thought you'd find thugs in a high school, eh? A thug at Daily Bugle and a thug at Osborne Laboratories. And then we need to also do over at Queen's the Carnage's offspring. Bam! Place 1 crisis token above 1 civilian in this location. Add a civilian here. Okay. Then do 1 damage to each hero here, which is 0. Okay, folks, so that is it. That is Carnage card complete. We are back to the hero's turn, and Korg went last, so it is over to Spider Woman. So what have we got? We've got a wild in the timeline. We've got a move and a heroic feat. Ooh, that's... Ooh. Do I... What to do? Now what I'm thinking is, she could do her move and heroic feat with a view to moving from here to the Daily Bugle, and then once at the Daily Bugle she can then she can't rescue these. Well, she could rescue one of the civilians, but she'd be better to use the 2 heroic feats, the wild and the heroic feat, to start taking out this symbiote ambush, because we know we need to clear one of these, at least one of these, in addition to the other Carnage offspring elsewhere on the board, so over here at Queen's. And that also adds then an extra move potentially to Korg's action, when he'll come and hopefully work his way over to Queen's to take out this large last Carnage offspring. So they're my thoughts, that's my thinking, so I think that's what I'm going to do. So let's start by playing a card. We're going to move and heroic feat on wild. That will enable Spider Woman to move to the Daily Bugle with Carnage, and rather than rescuing a civilian, I'm going to put 2 heroic feat tokens. Boop. To here. And she could do an attack on the thug that's there. She got an attack token, but we're going to hold on to that attack token, make them in use later on. Let us see. Okay, so Korg. Lots of attack, nothing else. So we have a move and a heroic feat in the timeline. We've got double attack in both adjacent locations. Okay, I think that's going to be our best bet then. So let's do the Cronan Fighter. Now then, what that means is we'll do a heroic feat firstly where Korg currently is at Brooklyn Bridge. So that's a further civilian rescue. We just need 1 more. He will then do the move, and then he would enact the Cronan Fighter, which does an attack in both adjacent locations. So we'll do a point of damage to this Carnage offspring, and we'll do a point of damage to the thug over at Brooklyn Bridge. So that comes onto our board. And then he does an attack where he currently is, but that's another attack onto a thug at Oscorp Tower. So that's not a bad move at all. I mean, we managed to get 5 actions out of that card. That's pretty darn good. Okay, so we're now back to Spider Woman. We're going to be fast running out of cards, I reckon, but I think we're well on our way now. So, super resistant. You can do heroic feat and then cannot take any damage until the beginning of the next turn. That's pretty tasty because that gets us the clearage of that threat. So I think we're going to do that. She's at potential risk being where she is if Carnage doesn't move. We'll see. So, super resistant. She can't take a damage this turn. She's going to do the final heroic feat to clear this threat. Ooh, and that gives us a sneaky peek at the master plan deck as well. So you see here we're doing really well now. So we've got 1 threat to clear, 1 civilian to rescue, and at the end of her turn, she can reveal the top card of the master plan deck and may place it on the bottom if we don't like it. So let's have a look. So he would move over to his Carnage offspring here with lots of civilians. He would do a BAM, which would deal damage to hero, which is none. Then place a crisis token above each civilian there. There's a lot of civilians there. So I really probably don't want to be doing that. I mean, that's a lot of crisis tokens. And then this would BAM as well. So that's a really nasty card given where we're currently at. So that is going to the bottom. So that could be our saving grace. We will find out right now, because now it is Carnage's turn. That is it for, oh no, we do attack. What's the final thing? So we'll do another attack on a thug, because we've got that there. Okay, so should have done that first, but that's fine. Okay, we're going to draw a card, and it is going to, no BAM. Nice. Woo! So Carnage will move one from the Daily Bugle to the high school. Unfortunately, we are certainly going to have at least one count of overflow. So the high school then, we've got 4 dudes already lined up there. He's going to try and put 2 civilians out, which obviously are going to fail. So in the event of overflow, 1 or more can't be added. Discard all civilians with crisis tokens from the location with the most civilians. So we zoom back out, we've got 4 civilians over here, which is definitely cream of the crop. There is 1 civilian with a crisis token, so that gets discarded, and that villainous plot increases by 1. So he's got 4 out of his possible 10. Then we're placing 2 civilians on either side, which we do have space for, 2 at the Daily Bugle and 2 at Queen's. And because it isn't a BAM, the Carnage's offspring doesn't act. So that is very helpful. Can't believe we've nearly run out of tokens, folks. That's how plentiful these are being used. Wow. So we have 3 locations literally fit for bursting. Okay, so Carnage is done. Could this be the turn we get to start attacking? Let us find out. So Spider Woman was the last to go, so we are back to Korg. Korg has a move and has a heroic feat in the timeline. Doesn't really help. But he wants to move. So with that heroic feat in the timeline, that really doesn't help. I'm going to have to line him up for next turn. But it does mean he will be able to take out Carnage next turn. Oh, then comes the dichotomy, folks. Then comes the dichotomy. So we need to rescue one civilian. We need to. Okay, let's do the move because we want Korg here in Queens, in order that he can then play his Chronon Fighter to do 3 points of damage at Queens to take out 1, 2, 3 this Carnage's offspring. But he has to move so that he's there. Now he does have a heroic feat. So the question is, does he rescue a civilian using the heroic feat? I think we're going to have to, aren't we, folks? Gonna have to. So if he rescues a civilian using a heroic feat, it clears this, which means now Carnage is acting under pressure. Villain acts every 2 hero cards. We've just done one. which means we're not going to enable ourselves to attack Carnage this turn. But let's see where that takes us. So Spider Woman's turn. So this is the last turn. Oh, nice! It's a move and an attack. So she could do a double move. She's got to move in the timeline from Korg. Oh! Oh! Poison Blast! Ah! Oh, like it. Okay. Poison Blast gives her the ability. Oops, where are we? Here we go. So it means that she can decide. Oh, focusing in there. Just trying to. I think that's because I've got a slightly textured sleeves. It's struggling. Anyway, choose double attack or delay the next villain card by 1 turn. That gives us the breathing space we need. So let us zoom out and we will do, so choose double blast or delay the next villain turn, which means she's got a move and an attack. And we've delayed the villain's turn. So she can move and attack to pick off a thug, because why not? And we've delayed the villain's turn, so it is back to Korg, which means he can absolutely now enact the Cronan Fighter to deal 3 points of damage over at Queen's to take out this Carnage's offspring, which clears that last threat. So that is now complete. Oops. We go. Villain is now vulnerable to damage. Excellent. Okay, and if he has 1 or 2 cards in hand, he may draw a card. So he gets to heal as well to boot. Okay, so we are now going to be fighting Carnage, but first it is his turn. We didn't take a sneaky peek, folks, but it's only him bamming if he bams at all. Let's see what it is. It's a don't move and bam. Okay, deal 1 damage to each here in Carnage's location. So I think we're going to do the... Are we going to do the point? The wild? Yeah, we'll do the wild. Then place a crisis token above each civilian there. Wow, is that it? That's it. We got away very, very lightly on Carnage's final maneuver. We are back to Spider Woman, who has a move and attack and an attack. So she'll play a move and attack. She doesn't need to move, but she'll do an attack on Carnage, and then we'll use her attack token that she had to do another attack on Carnage. So Carnage is now down to 1, 2, 3 health. It is over to Korg, who gets to draw a card. So he's already got a move and attack. Ah, Cronan Fighter. Fantastic. Which means, folks, he will do a move and an attack in the timeline, meaning Carnage is down to 2, and he'll do his Cronan Fighter to deliver a thug, and the final 2 points to Carnage, and Carnage is gone. And that is him, folks. Wow, very interesting. So yeah, as is so often the way with this game, so different. Those civilians with those crisis tokens, very unique power of our master villain that we're fighting off against. It feels like an absolute age since I've cleared a game through rescuing civilians as opposed to just taking out thugs, clearing threats. It also feels quite a while since I've seen henchmen actually to take out. So yeah, so it seemed like a really nice balance, actually having a good amount of attack in the storyline, being able to take out those henchmen, but also actually we got a good spattering of those heroic feats, the occasional wild but mainly heroic feats, to be able to control those civilians across the board. So we cleared the civilians, we cleared those threats. Really nicely done. I love these abilities given, the Daily Bugle, like the Black Widow power, being able to take a sneaky peek what's coming down the pipeline. Do we want that? What is he going to do if you play that? Okay, let's stick it underneath. Let's hope we get a better card next. Those abilities to take the tokens. Brooklyn Bridge is really interesting, being able to add a civilian and be able to actually add it to that location and then rescue a civilian from that location. So there's no impact effectively to the Brooklyn Bridge location, but it does gain us that civilian. So again, that was another win for us, being able to add further wins to our rescued civilian track. So yeah, loving these different locations. We saw the healing come into play, so the only thing we didn't see was the extra move tokens and of course the heroic feats tokens over at Midtown High School. But we didn't need them. We did really, really well. I'm really impressed with that. We got plenty, well in fact we got one card left for Korg. We had plenty of cards left for Spider Woman, but she was only down to that one last card, so 1 point of damage. She'd have been KO'd, but didn't happen. We didn't lose any of our heroes. Really, really happy with that. Fantastic, again, twist on that villainous plot and that timeline and what Carnage was looking to achieve. Hope you've enjoyed it. I've thoroughly enjoyed this game. It's been great fun. Really looking forward to the next one, seeing what the next villain brings and what 2 new heroes I'm going to pit against him. That would hopefully have unlocked some more content. So as always folks, if you've liked this video, please hit that like button. If you want to encourage me to do more, please hit that subscribe. That really does encourage me, and I of course will venture into the next game in the campaign trail very shortly and be bringing that to you, sharing that with you. Otherwise, let's have a look and see what new goodies we've unlocked. Thanks for watching.